In today's webinar, 4 ideas to integrate the UN Sustainable Development Goals into the language classroom. We will look at 4 meaningful classroom activities that will motivate learners to understand, reflect, and implement the values of these goals in their lives. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our presenter for this evening, Meena from the British Council, and Manisha and Atul, who are sign language interpreters from Access for All. Meena has been a teacher and later teacher educator for 30 years in India and overseas. She has worked as a trainer with IIM Ahmedabad and the US State Department. Meena works extensively with NGOs, educating underprivileged communities. She also writes textbook materials for the CBSE, and as a training consultant for the British Council, Meena works on pan-India projects. She's passionate about teacher development. Over to you, Meena.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm just sharing my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session. As you know, this month we are implementing policy. That is the theme for this month. So we are specifically looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which I will refer to as the SDGs from now on. And we are also looking at 4 ideas or 4 activities specifically on how to integrate these goals into your language classroom. So the learning outcomes for this workshop, by the end of the session, you will be able to understand the objectives of the SDGs and their implications for your learners. You will be able to analyze activities for linking the SDGs to your language classroom, and you can reflect on future actions which you and your learners can practice inside and outside the classroom. So what are these SDGs? What are these Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations? So these were actually developed in September 2015 when world leaders agreed to 17 global goals for sustainable development. The aim was to end extreme poverty, inequalities, and climate change by 2030. So as you can see, we are now in the last decade of that objective. These 17 goals are broken down into targets, worldwide targets and indicators. So here are the Sustainable Development Goals. This is the iconic poster. I'm just going to read them out to you in order. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And the 17th goal is the partnership for all these. So when we are using these icons, we have to be careful not to tamper with the colors and the fonts. So let's dive into the 4 ideas for your classroom now. So the first sample lesson we have for you is from a class 3 text. All these are English language texts. And it's actually a poem about acorns or seeds growing into trees. There's already a very good speaking activity here about the 2 trees. I give you all this and what do you give me? And it's a very powerful image which you have here. But we can also do a writing or also a speaking activity here apart from this. So the SDG for this is life on land, obviously, because it's talking about trees and the life that the trees are nurturing. We can also link it to climate action. So here's a suggested lesson plan. Aim is to understand the value of trees and life on land, and also for learners to write about it. This is going to be a writing skills activity. The SDG focus is life on land, underlining the value of wildlife and trees. Language focus, we explore forest-related vocabulary, practice writing sentences about the importance of trees, And learners also practice writing concrete or visual poems. So let's start with stage 1, which is the pre-writing activity. So you have to make 3 or 4 sentences or lines about trees. And there is a matching exercise here, matching the words in the columns. So we have on the left, A, B, C, D, E, F, give, clean, protect, block, fight, and produce. And on the right, we have birds and animals, floods, oxygen, us, shade, noise, and the air. So for example, we could say trees give us shade. So here's an example for you. So in the chat box, could you come up with more combinations? Try and do this matching activity. Everybody in the chat box. Yes. Somebody says, Disha says, clean the air. Very good. Any other answers here? Yes, trees clean the air. Trees give us shade. They give us shade, clean the air. Okay, what about protect? What do they protect? The trees produce oxygen, fantastic. They protect the earth. They also protect what's on the earth, isn't it? They protect birds and animals, fight floods, birds and animals, yes, all correct. Trees produce oxygen, trees block noise. Thank you, Chitra. So I think everyone's got this. So the answers are trees give us shade, trees. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Yes. Trees protect birds and animals. Trees block noise. Trees fight floods, and trees produce oxygen. So now we've got some lines ready for this activity. So now let's get into the writing. So now the learners are going to write a concrete poem or a visual poem. What is this? It's a poem written in the actual shape of the topic. So here, if the topic is trees, what they do is they draw a outline of the tree and then write the lines within it. So here is an example. This is a child has done it with the hand, and he's written the lines, he or she, my hand reaches for you, my hand takes your hand, etc. And so this is the way it's done. After the lines are written in, you erase the outline. It can also be done digitally in this manner. So this is a concrete poem, and after they write their poems, they can be displayed. So the next stage is the post-writing stage. The extension activity here is think, pair, square. So the topic or the question is, what is your favorite tree, fruit, or flower? And what can you do to protect it? Think, pair, square is just a slight modification of think, pair, share, where the pairs you think individually, then discuss in a pair, and then you join another pair to form a square, and then you talk about it. Now let's reflect on this. What other activities can you conduct in your classroom to raise awareness of life on land within your classroom, school, and community? This is a reflection question. So can you put your answers in the chat? What other kind of activities can you do?
Amrita is saying role play, somebody saying skits, dialogues, group discussions, essay writing, skits, nature walks, extempore, nukkad natak, lifestyle activity, storytelling, peer learning, turncoat, just a minute, role play, street plays, nature walks, video presentations, puppets, peer learning, ice breaking, word play, lots of ideas, poster, documentary, podcast, teamwork.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Short story, seminars, discussions, field work, one word story.
Very good.
Lots of ideas.
I think we're just flooded with ideas. Excellent.
Advertisement, debate, collage.
Uh-huh.
Lots of ideas.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, everyone. I think we are just flooded with ideas here. So let's continue and see what else you can come up with in the other activities as well. Okay. So now we are moving on to the next sample lesson. This is a class 7 lesson. It's about a shoemaker who makes excellent shoes, but he loses all his business to the big firms, and then finally he dies of starvation. So at one point he tells the author, they get it all, they get it by advertisement, not by work. It comes to this, presently I have no work. Every year it gets less. And when the author goes back to his shop, he finds a new owner. And that owner says, slow starvation. The old man died of slow starvation. He lost everybody. Look at the competition. He never advertised. So this is about a small business losing out to a big business. So what do you think the SDG here is? Could you just put it in the chat box? What is the related SDG? It's a small business losing to a big business. What do you think it is? Any ideas? Yeah, what could it be? He died of starvation. So one is obviously it is no poverty. You can also look in the chat box, the posters.
We've got no poverty. Many people are posting poverty and inequality.
Okay, so it's reduced inequality and no poverty. Reduced inequalities and no poverty. Very good. So let's start the lesson plan. It's a reading skills here. To stimulate learners to think about the many forms of inequality through a reading task to promote critical thinking and problem solving. The SDG focus is reduced inequality and no poverty to underline the imbalance in people's lives. The language focus is comparing and contrasting and expressing opinions and using comparative adjectives. So before reading, we have some statements. These are 4 activists who have made some statements, and then you have to think about whether they are true or false. After that, we'll read the text and then you can check your answers. So here are the statements from the 4 activists. You can predict these, whether they are true or false, and keep them to yourself until we check. Equality includes people from all backgrounds. People with disabilities cannot contribute to society. People of all ages are equally skilled. Women are as equally represented in government and education as men. So just think about whether these could be true or false. Next, we are now going into the reading activity. So while you are reading, note down the key words and phrases which show you equality and inequality. So let's look at the texts. The first one is from a person called Hetty. She says, I believe that equality for people of all backgrounds and ethnicities is important because all people should have the same opportunities in life. They should be treated fairly, regardless of where they come from, the color of their skin, or what they believe. Second one is from Chuck. He says equality for people, regardless of whether they have a disability or not, is important because everyone should be able to go to school and to work and move freely around their local environment. All people can contribute to our society. The third one is from Sanjay. I believe that equality for people of all ages is important because all ages can contribute to society and economy. And we need to provide opportunities for all the people to make sure no one is excluded. And the last statement is from Lorenzo, who says equality for men and women is important because women make up half of all the people, but they are paid less represented in governments and less education than men. So here are the 4 statements. And what kind of key words did you note here for equality and inequality? What were the key words which you noted? Can you let me know in the chat?
Opportunities, ethnicities, barriers, equal opportunity, disability.
All back. Yeah. And ethnicities, background, opportunities. Yes. So we have things like getting the same opportunities in life, regardless of color, regardless of disability. No one is excluded. Yes, I can see all those gender bias, gender equality. Very good. I think you've picked up all the key words here. Excellent. So now let's check your statements, whether they were true or false. Your answers. Equality includes people from all backgrounds. Of course, it's true. People with disabilities cannot contribute to society. Definitely false. People of all ages are equally skilled. True. And women are as equally represented in government and education as men. That is false. I'm pretty sure all of you had the right predictions. So post reading, we have some activities. Select one of the texts and build a character on it, any one of them, and role play that character showing a day in my life. So it could be a disabled person or it could be an aged person. And then you create a video on the topic, a day in my life, based on one of these texts. Another alternative activity is to write a paragraph, a short poem, or a story about something unfair that has happened to you. Good. Now we are moving on to the reflection. How could you raise awareness of inequalities in your classroom, school, and community through your classroom activities? This is your reflection question. Could you put your answers in the chat? What other activities could you think of? Yes, pair activities, projects, short videos and movies, correct? Group discussions, dramatization, surveys, good. Singing activities, interesting. Role play, interviews, okay. Group discussions, street plays, yes, we also have street plays later. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone. I am getting very quick responses from all of you, and that's really wonderful. Right, now let's move on to the third activity. This is going to be a listening skills lesson. This is about Santosh Yadav, who scaled Mount Everest twice. And she didn't want to get married and she didn't want to do anything traditional. She lived life on her own terms. She said, if I chose a correct and rational path, the others around me had to change, not me. So at barely 20 years of age, Santosh Yadav scaled Mount Everest, becoming the youngest woman in the world to achieve the feat. So what is the obvious SDG here? Tell me, chat box. We are talking about a girl who climbed Everest from a very conservative family. Yes, everyone? What could be the SDG here? Are you getting any answers, Michelle? I can't see.
Gender equality.
Gender equality, fantastic. Yeah, everyone's spot on. Gender equality is the SDG here. Very good. Okay, suggested lesson plan for this one. Aim is to raise awareness of gender imbalances and women's rights through a listening task. SDG focus is gender equality, focusing on inequalities in rights for women. Language focus, we are using gender neutral vocabulary and the language of professions, presenting a biography. So these are all the different things we are going to do here. So before listening, we are going to be listening to a talk. This is the first stage, pre-listening. We are going to be listening to a talk about women's rights. So before listening, I want you to match some words to the definitions. These are words which will be coming up in the talk. So we have a pushback, an assault, momentum, a quest, enshrine, a long search, to protect something officially. These are the definitions, by the way. An opposition to something, a violent attack, and the energy that makes a moving object hard to stop. Now, please match the vocabulary to the definition. You can put the numbers and the alphabet. For example, you can match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with A, B, C, D, E. And we'll check your answers. Okay, I have 1D, 1C, okay. One C, 2D. What about 3, 4, and 5? 1E, 2D. Okay, 4A, correct?
Someone has 2D, 4A, 1E, 5B, many 5Bs, 2Ds, 3Es, 4As.
Yeah, more or less everyone's got it. I think Rachita's got the answers here. Okay, let's just check. Shall we check the answers now? Pushback in opposition to something, which is 1C. An assault is a violent attack, that is 2D. Momentum is the energy that makes a moving object hard to stop, that is 3E. 4, a quest is A, a long search. 5, enshrine is B, to protect something officially. Good, I think you've all cracked it. And this is the pre-listening where you will find these words in the talk. So listen carefully and listen out for these words when you're listening to the talk. Okay, now I'm going to play the talk. This is while listening. Before that, many rights are mentioned in the talk. So there is a list of rights which I've given here. So you have to find out what is actually in the talk and what is not in the talk. The first one is gender equality, fair and equal wages, women making decisions about their own bodies, access to free transport, access to quality healthcare, and voting rights. So we have 6 rights here, out of which only 3 are being mentioned in the talk. So listen carefully what rights are being mentioned there. The person who's talking is Emma Watson. If you remember, she was Hermione in Harry Potter. She is an ambassador, UN ambassador. So while listening, this stage is for you to listen carefully.
In the quest for gender equality, it feels as though every step forward is followed by 2 steps back. In the grip of war, global pandemics, and climate change, the world has not become safer for women and girls. And the hard-won progress made by women's rights movements around the world faces a reversal, a pushback. Increasing assaults on women's right to make decisions about their own bodies, mounting obstacles to girls' education and leadership, rising cases of disappearances and of women being killed just for being women. Violence against women and girls, online or offline, cannot and will not go unchecked. Now's our moment to add momentum to the growing movement against violence, oppression and repression. Against the pushback, we push forward. By using our votes to elevate more women at every level into positions of power, by enshrining the right to freedom of choice and education, by protecting disempowered communities and advocating for survivors' rights, and by taking action to end all violence against women and girls. The only way forward is forward.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. So I hope you enjoyed that audio and you were able to, I can already see lots of answers here. Yes, women making decision about their bodies. I think it's gone down very well with everyone. Lots of people have found that. Pushback, yes. Okay, let's check the answers.
I posted them in the chat box, Meena.
Okay. So we have, maybe I'll just scroll back so that they can refer to this. Yeah. So we have gender equality. We have women making decisions about their own bodies, and then voting rights. I can't see too many people identifying voting rights.
They're saying equal rights. I think they meant voting rights.
Yeah, because that plays the, I think the audio
Right
is
to vote. Somebody saying right to vote.
yeah,
There's
correct.
lots saying right to vote.
Fine. Yeah. Okay, I can see now. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. That was really good because I couldn't have done it the first time myself. I had to listen to it twice. So I think it's brilliant that you've been able to identify. Excellent. So now let's look at the third stage, the post-listening stage. And this is an activity. Brainstorm the names of 3 famous people in any of these categories: technology, politics, film, business, art. Okay, you will find them brainstorming, men and women. Okay, so now you compare the lists. How many men figure in these lists compared to women? Look at the ratio. Then you repeat the brainstorming, but with names of famous women only. And then they research these women leaders and find out what did they do to break the stereotype. And then in groups, the learners prepare posters on these famous women leaders and present the poster on how they have contributed to society. Now tell me, can you think of 3 women leaders from India in the field of business? Sports, everybody will know. So that's an easy one. Can you think of 3 women leaders for business? Oh, already Falguni Naya, Sudha Murthy, Indra Nui, Kiran Mazumdar Shaw. Fantastic. Parmeshwar Godrej. Oh, I didn't think of that. Neeta Ambani. Okay. Indra Nui. Lots of Indra Nuis and Sudha Murthy's here. Neeta Ambani. Kalpana Chawla. Okay. She was went into space.
Masaba, Namita Thapar, Ritu Kumar.
Hima Das is a sports person. Parmeshwar Godrej, Sudha Murthy. Okay, fine. I think all of you have very spot on answers and I'm really impressed. This was very quick. Thank you so much. Now let's look at the reflection for this. What steps can you take in your classroom to raise awareness of the rights of girls and women? Can you give me some ideas? What steps can you take? What kind of activities? What measures will you take?
Give leadership opportunities to girls. People are saying make them class leaders, monitors, captains.
Okay, make them monitor. Yeah, I can see that. What else? Make them open up on how they feel. Okay. Open discussions, NGO visits. That's a new one. Introducing women leaders, student agency. Okay. Girl child safety awareness. Excellent.
Reflect on your own behavior, which is a good point.
Good one. Yeah. Awareness of good touch and bad touch. Yes, very important. Combined role play. Anchoring, skit, seminar, public speaking, parents meeting. In my class, the girl gives the command in the assembly. Very good, Smita Soni. Okay, so lot of answers here, lot of ideas. Unfortunately, we can't look at all of them because of the paucity of time. Thank you so much for all your quick answers. Now we are looking at the final lesson, sample lesson, which is a reading. No, it's a speaking activity, sorry. And this is from a class 8 text. It's about a story from World War I. And I'm not even asking you for the SDG because it's obviously about peace and justice. So it's Christmas Day and the captain, English captain, has written to his wife about what happened. It was Christmas Day and suddenly the Germans start saying, we have schnapps, we have sausage, we meet you, yes. And then they were all walking across no man's land with not a rifle between them. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another. Gray coats, khaki coats, meeting in the middle. I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. And then after this, they decide to play a football match. And then at the football match, the German captain says, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. So very powerful statement there. So now let's look at the lesson plan for this. Learners to find ways to incorporate peace and conflict resolution into their classroom through speaking activities. SDG focus, peace and justice within the classroom, ending violence and conflict. Language focus, using the functions of justifying opinions, negotiating, summarizing, because they'll be doing a speaking activity, and all the time using the vocabulary of peace and conflict. Okay, so before speaking, what the learners need to do is to have 2 images ready. You can see the 2 samples here. You can either prepare it or they can research and find these images. So one is for peace and the other is for non-peace. They also have to brainstorm words for peace and non-peace. They can do this through a mind map, or you can play a board game for them to brainstorm the vocabulary for peace and non-peace. Now we are going to do it here. We are going to brainstorm some vocabulary for peace, and we are going to do it through Answer Garden. So in the Answer Garden, when you open the link, I'll be showing it to you. You can type 2 words, one both for peace. One of them could be in any other language you know. Okay. So here is your Answer Garden link. You can open the link and go to the box there and type in your answers. I'm just opening the screen for you. 2 words meaning peace to you. And one of them could be in another language. Yes, please go ahead. Is it visible?
Yes, Meena, we can see it. People are also celebrating that the Chandrayaan has landed.
Okay. Any answers here? 2 words.
Acceptance, love.
Okay, people are typing in the chat box.
Happiness, Shanti, yes.
Afiyat, okay.
Satisfaction. Maybe refresh the screen, you'll be able to see them.
Oh, yes. Harmony, calm. Harmony is the most prominent one. Shanti and truce. Somebody has typed Shanti in Hindi. Fantastic. Happiness, love.
Forgiveness.
Brotherhood, sukh. Aman. Patience.
I can see Bhalobasha written in Bengali, which means love.
Thank you, Payal.
Thank you. Contentment, yes. Tranquility, truce, yes, very good. Brother, silence, calm. Shanto Thaka, what language is that? Shanto, Shanti Thaka.
That's Bengali.
Meditation and silence, no bullying, friendly classmates. Yes, very valid point.
Music and art we have.
Oh, good.
Serenity.
Yeah. And Sayam, I can see Sayam, Samadhanam, freedom and cricket. Oh, that's interesting. For me, peace means reading a book in silence without any phone calls. So I can relate to that. Many of these things are resonating with me here. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone.
Tolerance, we have tolerance, patience.
I can't see tolerance. Okay.
Some are coming in the chat box also.
Okay. Bujha mana in Odia. Odia means understanding. Bujha mana, I hope I'm saying it right. Forgive me. In Odia. Okay, a lot of languages here. Really fantastic. I wonder if we can just take a screenshot of this.
We can save it in the Answer Garden also. Very powerful words.
Very powerful and lovely ideas. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, now I'm going back to our PowerPoint because we have some more things to do. So here is the actual speaking task. So now learners have the images, they have the vocabulary. Using this, they conduct a discussion based on the images using circle talk or the pyramid technique. So the pyramid discussion is when pairs keep joining up, more and more pairs keep joining up, and then they arrive at solutions. This is circle talk. There are two concentric circles. The inner circle keeps rotating and each point is discussed with a different partner. So the discussion questions are there in your chat box. What does peace mean for you? What are some peaceful ways to deal with conflict? What 5 actions can we take to foster peace in the classroom? So these are the questions which they will be discussing, keeping the vocabulary and the images in mind. So the post-speaking activity, learners vote on the top 5 actions in question C. Now already they've decided the 5 actions and they produce a manifesto for change in the community. They decide the medium in which to present this manifesto, and then they can also script a street play. I remember somebody talking of street play earlier, or a short film, and this is based on their solutions. And this could be multilingual in order to reach all members of the community. Multilingualism is very current, very powerful, so we are advocating multilingualism here. So here's your reflection question. How can you raise awareness of conflict and peace within your class, school, and community? Again, a reflection question for you. Again, in the chat box now. Can you put it there? How could you raise awareness in the classroom? Okay, active discussion, skits and role plays, showcasing the problems. How do you do that? Brotherhood, showing movies through games, peer activities, films like Saving Private Ryan, good idea. Telecast a movie, group discussion, moral stories. Importance of reconciliation, yes, very important. Classroom contract is the first way to begin. Very good, Ankita. Very valid point. Make a classroom contract. Exhibiting tolerance, showcasing problems in the world. Okay, I can see more brotherhood, games, reading articles. Lot of ideas about movies. Respect, teamwork, all right. Very nice ideas. Thank you so much. Now we have looked at the 4 activities and how we can deliver them in the classroom and how your students can participate in implementing these 4 SDGs, which we have looked at. Now, in total, we've done a lot of reflection as well. Now, in total, let's look at actionable measures. Other actionable measures like what we are all practicing now, reducing use of plastic, reducing use of fossil fuels, and not wasting water. All these things, everybody is trying very hard to implement in their own societies or communities. But as teachers, what could you do? What might you do? And how can you implement this in the classroom? So these are the actionable points, your action points. So first action point is how can you use multilingual approaches to promote empathy and rapport? So again, as I said, multilingualism is very important. And the multilingual approach recognizes and values the nature of diverse languages and diverse schools and classrooms. So all of us have a lot of diversity in our classrooms, and we should exploit that to make them aware of, to give global awareness and tolerance. Now, there are other questions. What I would suggest is that we just move on to the Padlet. I'm going to give you a Padlet link. And then we answer these questions and discuss them on the Padlet, right? So before the link for the Padlet, I'm going to just give you a few instructions. Open the link, click on the plus sign. I'm sure all of you know this, but anyway, type your response and then click publish. do question 1 first. So kindly do not run ahead with the other questions. Let's first do 1, then 2, then 3 and 4. Do not answer the other questions until instructed, and you can comment as well on other posts and keep your comments relevant and respectful. Here is your QR code and here is your link. So go to Padlet and start the question 1 and wait for me to discuss it. In the meantime, I'll open the screen for you. Oh, already there are answers. Good job. Through polling, okay, by taking turns, voting, providing equal opportunities to both. Yes, for example, you can give them leadership roles in the classroom, boys and girls. Like somebody said, she has the girls give the commands at assembly. Yes, as humans, we should respect both genders. Voting, yes, voting rights, equal opportunities, using gender neutral terms. Yeah. Treat all learners equally. Please wait for me to come to question 2 and 3 and 4. We haven't yet completed this. Inclusion, using election process, okay. Equal opportunities, okay. Okay, can I request all of you to just wait and not type in for the other answers? Okay, the second one we are moving on to. What essential questions can you ask for critical thinking and problem solving? Here the answers have come. Questions starting with why. Ask different questions. Which team would you like to choose? Introspect. Okay, introspection. Case studies. All right, that's a good answer. Why questions, WH questions. Metacognition strategies, higher order thinking questions, very good. Thoughts questions, in other words. Real world issues, fantastic answer. Open-ended questions, very good. Differentiated learning. HOTS questions to be done. Analysis, alternatives. Okay, we've come back to HOTS questions and case studies. Fine, thanks. Now we can move on to the third one. How can you encourage learners to develop intercultural awareness and tolerance? Okay, different cultures, respect each other's culture and values, discussion on the given matters. Culture exchange program, yes. Expose them to the frankness of all humans, understand people as people and not under banners. Very good, that should be a quotation, whoever wrote it, thank you. Empathy building, respect diversity, celebrating cultural fests, diversity exercises, documentaries and do cultural days. Yes, correct. Role play, connecting cultures, respect and talk, sharing literature and text from across the globe. Introduce literature on different cultures, exchange programs, events of different cultures, organizing programs. Yes. Celebration of different festivals. That's a good idea. Asking them to find the background. Yes, we do a little bit of research as well there. Showing movies. Sharing happiness. Very nice. Okay, I'm moving on to the last one. How can you share your skills and knowledge with other communities of practice? By communities of practice, we mean groups where different types of study or concepts are being practiced together. Yeah, using blogs, webinars, uploading on social media, fine. Online webinars, okay. Projects, collaborative platforms, publishing articles or lesson plans, participating in online forums or social media groups dedicated to education. Very good answer, thank you. Understanding cultures, invitation, global seminar, through webinars like this. Thank you, you've made my day. Practices, blogging, books, forums, what was that? Forums, social media groups, and online communities. Wonderful answers. Exchange programs, hosting functions, and inviting other students from other schools. Yes, inter-school programs. social media and conversation, showing documentaries, social media group discussion. Okay, bring forth case studies on how people of different backgrounds came together to solve a natural problem in their society or environment. Okay, you're bringing in the SDGs here, which is also very good. Interaction, online webinars, open forum discussion, social media, webinars, collaborations, experiential learning and personalized learning. Good answer. Okay, I wish we could go on with all these again, and I'm sorry if I haven't done justice to many of your answers. They were all excellent. They're absolutely brilliant. And unfortunately, I think we have to move back to our PowerPoint now. Thank you all so much for giving me such wonderful answers. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Yeah. So we've done the discussion of these reflection questions here. We'll just look at them once more. How do you support gender equality? What essential questions can you ask which stimulate critical thinking and problem solving? In what ways can you encourage learners to develop intercultural tolerance and awareness? And how can you share your skills and knowledge with other communities of practice? Brilliant answers, brilliant participation. Thank you so much. And I think I have to come to the end of this presentation. Here are the credits, all the links which you can refer, which were mentioned in the presentation. Credits and the sources. This is further resources if you're interested for reading and viewing. Lots more information on the UN SDGs and other features which were there in the presentation and other interesting articles. Now I'm going to leave you with a quotation from the Declaration of Human Rights. All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood. With this, I'm going to say thank you, and thank you for your wonderful participation, all of you. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Meena. I learned a lot, and I think so did we. If you have any questions for Meena, can you please post them in the chat box? We're getting lots of thank yous. Meena, the one question I had was, if I don't teach English, I'm a, let's say, a science or a social studies teacher. How can I want to implement these SDGs in my classroom. Do you have any ideas or suggestions?
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to be only an English teacher. Today, we've looked at examples from English lessons. But for a science teacher or a social studies teacher, the job is even easier because many of these topics would link to the SDGs. For example, climate action or human rights, so they will all link. Even for a maths teacher, it's possible because all these have statistics. For example, fossil fuel, carbon emissions, poverty line, figures for population. So there are lots of statistics and figures which can be analyzed.
Thank you. Somebody wants to know for English literature, some good ideas to motivate their students.
You mean with regard to the SDGs? Is that what it is?
Yes. And how, and also for higher education.
Yes, for higher education and literature, there are plenty of opportunities. You just have to do some research and find appropriate extracts like we've done with the classroom material. These are from NCERT. So it's very easy to find appropriate material, poetry, drama, any kind of fiction. You will be able to find appropriate examples and then implement the linked SDG for that in your classroom.
Also, the question of what we have to complete the portion, we don't have time. How can we put it in our classroom?
Yes, so it doesn't have to be a daily activity, isn't it? Just like any other extra features which you're implementing in your classroom, this could be done at any time when you have a window, or it could be done on a weekly basis. The point is that the awareness has to be there. Awareness has to be implemented in the classroom.
True. Any more questions from anyone? People want to know how to motivate students for special children in the classroom.
Yeah, I
And
think
something about students in Hindi as well.
so. It doesn't matter what the language is, isn't it? These can be implemented in any kind of language classroom. Like I said, even today we were practicing words in different languages for peace. So the language is not really material with regard to the SDGs. Remember, they are being implemented all over the world, globally, in thousands of languages. So the language is not at all the problem. What was the
Julie
other?
has a question on how to teach gender equality in a boys' school.
I think it's very important. It's in fact most important to teach it in a boys' school. So whatever activities we are doing, I think we should implement them in a classroom full of boys. And in fact, bring in a lot of extracts and literature and videos and movies related to that. Like this lesson on Santosh Yadav, it'll go, it's important for boys to understand.
Abdul Muhammad says he's got a job as an English teacher in Uzbekistan and he wants to know some ideas to handle diverse students.
Again, if there is diversity in the classroom, it's an advantage. You could also try some multilingual approaches. If you can learn a few words of the local language, that will be great. And these SDGs can be implemented in any classroom at any level across subjects. It's from primary up to tertiary or post-graduation. You can use these SDGs anywhere.
Smita has an important point. I feel teaching boys would really change the mindset of society. Someone else wants to know, can you give me some tips on role play and storytelling?
Yeah, I think we looked at examples for role play and storytelling. We did one about inequality, and then role play also we did for inequality. And storytelling was, I think that was also about inequality, yes. So all these were based on the SDG of inequalities, gender equality, inequality, as well as equality for all.
Yes, which comes to the next question from Disha Mehrotra. Special children or kids with special needs should be celebrated equally in class. How to teach normal students to understand such children?
So I think that's a specialized problem where you have special children mainstreamed along with normal children. And I think the teacher has to be equipped to deal with it. I don't know if this is specific to the SDGs, but special children have, if they are integrated into a mainstream classroom, then the teacher has to have the skills.
I'll take one last question. Any other topic apart from equality and inequality? And how do we teach empathy?
Yeah, empathy is embedded in all the SDGs. So whichever one you pick up, empathy is a crucial part of it. Gender equality, inequalities, employment, peace and justice, everything has tolerance and empathy. We all have to remember that social emotional learning is a very important part of our teaching these days. So empathy and kindness are very much a part of that. So I would say you should link it to social emotional learning as well.
One last comment somebody has made that I feel, Gagandeep, I feel all staff, including support staff, should be taught about gender equality and understanding. And yes, it has to be the whole culture of the school and the community.